As you know, I'm Python the Genius, and today we are going to be continuing with day 3 on our Python in 10 days. If you've come this far, kudos to you, thumbs up, because you are really doing great. Today we are going to be looking at conditional statements and Python operators, and we are going to be writing a simple guessing game to help to review what we've learned so far. If you are joining for the first time, hit the subscribe button below. There's a red subscribe button, click on it so that you don't miss any update from Python the Genius. And also activate notification. There is a bell icon beside. Activate notification so that when I make new updates, you get notified. So let's get right into the classroom and let's start working. Day 3, we are going to be covering conditional statements, and we're also going to be covering Python operators. If you look behind me here, you'll see that we've just gotten a board. That is a whiteboard. I call it a whiteboard with love. That is for Python in 10 days. And that means we are actually not joking. We are very, very serious with this. Anybody that fails to learn Python will have himself to blame. So if you are joining for the first time, you need to hit the subscribe button below this video. Subscribe so that you motivate me to make these lessons, and also you don't miss an update. When you subscribe, you get notifications when a new day comes, because it's not consecutive days, but it may be after 3 days, after 2 days, a new lesson is made. So many people are already here, so feel free to subscribe and also like this video, share it around so that you get many other people who would like to learn, because the purpose of the channel is to share the knowledge. And let me know also if you have any challenges. Let me know by leaving me a comment below telling me this is a challenge you have, and I'm going to respond to you. So this board you see behind me here is going to be using day 5, where we are going to be doing easy maths. So I bought this board specifically for Python in 10 days. So this board is your board, this channel is your channel, these lessons are your lessons. So let's not miss anything. So please follow consistently and we'll get there. So let's get to the screen and let's start working. So the first thing you want to do is to just go to the browser and let's open to the modules we are going to be working on today. www.python.genius.com/Python. So when you go to /Python, you'll see the complete module, maybe 20 something or 30 modules. But as we mentioned before, we are going to be learning smart, meaning that we are going to only be learning the relevant ones. This Python in 10 days, if you go there, you can also see the outline for Python in 10 days. You can see day 1, we already did it, day 2, day 3. We are on day 3 at this point. So well, I've already opened PyCharm, because this day 3 we are going to be using PyCharm, not Jupyter Notebook. So let me kind of restore this screen so that I can have the procedure open side by side with PyCharm IDE. So we have this here. Let me also shift this so that I can see both of them in the same window. All right. So that was the idea. So let me drag this one a bit downwards and drag this one down. So I'm going to go right to operators, because we are going to be covering operators. Operators are simply symbols that you use in your programs. That they are not numbers. They are not numbers. They are not characters or letters of the alphabet. They are simply some special characters. I would put it that way. For instance, the hash key. For instance, the plus sign, the minus sign, the equalities operator. All these are operators. So they are called operators because each time you use an operator, you have an operand, something called an operand. So if you say A is equal to 3, so you have A, you have 3. In between it, we have an equality sign. Now there are many different categories of operators in Python, and you need to know that one operator may be doing a different thing in a different category and also appear in another category doing a different thing. So let's just run through it and take a few examples to see how this works as well. So at this point, I'm going to create a new project for day 3. So if you look, you can see that we have day 1 and 2. So we are not making a joke. This is actually the way to go. So this, I'm going to create day 3. Day 3. All right. So can be opened. So let me open maybe a hash. It's okay, either of the two. So I can see all the days here. Also do the same thing. Anytime a new day starts, before you start the lesson, open a new project and call it the name of the day. In this case, we are talking about day 3. So a quick rundown of the types of operators we have. We have arithmetic operators: plus, minus, divide, multiplication is simple. Now multiplication operator is the asterisk symbol. It's not the X on the keyboard, it's asterisk, right? Take note of that. So I'm not going to actually be explaining them. Take some time to read it when you have the time. Now let's talk about comparison operator while we wait for this thing to complete. So now we have the project for the tree is created right now. So I'm going to create a new Python file inside that project. So right click and choose new Python file and then give it a name. I'm going to call it just operators. So I've also opened Paint just to illustrate what I'm saying. So I'm going to write something in this place. So I'm going to write, let's assume I have something like x is equal to 2 or y, something like this. And if the value of x is equal to 20 and the value of y will now be what? X is equal to 2y, y will now be 10, right? Okay, don't worry about this. We are going to be talking more about maths later in day 5. So at this point we have an equality sign to be this equality operator to be is called equality operator. Is this equal sign? But when you have something like x equal to 2y, this one now, this 2 equality sign here is called comparison operator. Let me just make sure. So you can see if the values of 2 operand are equal, so comparison operator. So that's what we have here. X equal to. When you have 2 equality signs, that becomes comparison. Alright, so we also have a number of things. So in this case, we can also say x is greater than 2y. So in this case, we are asking a question: is x greater than 2y? So let's demonstrate what we are saying. So for instance, if I go at this point and say, as I mentioned, always put your name when you write a program. So program by Python so we say if x is equal to 10 and y is equal to let's say 2x. Let me put it this way. But in this case, we have to say 2x in this way, right? So we are talking about, we use equality operator, or this is called assignment operator. The equal sign, we are assigning x to be 10, we are assigning y to be 2x. So I can print out, or I can say z is equal to x equal to y, right? Okay. So in this case, z is going to hold the answer to the question that says, is x equal to y? That's what z will contain. So what do you think it will be? Z will now hold, in this case, false. X is not equal to y. X is equal to something else. Y is equal to 2x. So x is equal to 10. Y is equal to 20. So the only way to check is to print x, right? So let's print x. I'm going to right click and run this code just to see. So run operators. It's going to give us false. That will be the, so I print z. That is what we are supposed to do, not print x, print z. So let me right click again. I can click on this run here. So it tells us false. X equal to, that is called a comparison operator. So you can also use another comparison operator that says, is x less than y? In this case, yes, the answer will be true. And if I run it again, it's going to tell me true. x is less than y. That will be the result. All right, so there are three operators I would like you to take note of. That is the modulus operator, the exponent operator, and the let's forget about this. This is not relevant for now. Maybe when we get to math, simple math in day 5, we are going to talk about it. So we have 2 to the power or something. So if you have something like y is equal to x squared, right? So in Python, you are going to say y is equal to x asterisk asterisk 2. So that is the same as this. That's exponent operator. We also have the modulus operator. Modulus operator divides and returns the remainder. So if you say something like z is equal to 10 over 3, the answer is going to be 1, because 10 divided by 3 is going to be 3 remainder 1, right? So let's see. So let's just try it out. In case you don't understand, 10 divided by 3 is going to be 10 over 3 is going to be 3, because 3 times 3 is 9 and we have 1 left. So remainder is going to be 1. So 10 over 3 is going to give us 1. It's not going to give us 3 point anything. So I can just print 10 divided by 3. So if I print it, it's going to give us the answer to be 1. Okay, now I mean the floor operator. So this is what we are talking about. This is what I want to talk about. This is not floor operator. I'm talking about the modulus operator, which is this symbol. So 1. Okay, so take some time to read and play around with it. It's very, very easy to understand. So these operators, which are comparison operator, also relational operator, are used to ask a question. So when it comes between 2 operands, because when you have operand, it works with an operator. So we have x and y in this case to be the operands. Let me just increase the font size of this. Okay. All right. So in this case, we have x and y to be the operands, and the operator is equals, right? So this expression asks a question: is x equal to y? So the answer is going to be either a true or a false. So each time you have operators that are relational operators or comparison operators, the answer or the result of that operation is going to be either a true or a false. Alright, so try to understand, play around with all these ones and see how it works. Then we have Python assignment operator. Now, when we say x is equal to 10, we are doing an assignment. We are taking the value 10 and we are assigning it into a variable x. Alright, so but there is also let's just take for instance x is equal to, let's say, x plus 10. What do you think this will be? This will be the same as x is equal to 10 plus 10, right? That is clear. Now you can write this in short form like x plus equals 10. So when you say x plus equals 10 is the same as x is equal to x plus 10. But since x appears in both sides of the equation, the system is going to understand it. When you use plus equals, it's going to understand it to be x is equal to x plus 10. So in the same way, when you have something like x, y is equal to y plus 1, you also understand it to be y is equal y plus equals 1, right? So that will give us y is equal to y plus 1. Now I recommend, don't worry yourself about all this for now, because we are taking the relevant, only the relevant. Now there's one thing I would like to just mention about this floor. Floor is returns the values rounded up to the lower integer. So for instance, if you say let's say if we print, let's say z is equal to 10 over 3, right? The answer is going to be 3.33 or something. So if I print z, I'm sure I'll get 3.33, right? So that is understandable. That is normal. Normal division is going to be 10 over 3, 3.33. Now, if I use the floor division, it's going to round off the result to the lower integer, so it's going to return 3. So, and that is what this operator is. So it's an arithmetic operator, and it's called floor division. So if I run it at this point, it's going to simply round it up to the lower decimal and return it. All right. Now I have bitwise operator. Bitwise operator, we are going to be covering it in day 5 when we are going to be doing easy math. So brace up yourself for day 5, because most of the things in programming that is hinged on mathematics, but not difficult mathematics, mainly number basis, binary, decimal and stuff like that. So let's keep this for now. Let's learn smart. Let's not get stuck somewhere. Now we also have logical operator. Logical operator is used to perform logical comparison of operands. So for instance, you can say x and y. Again, logical operator returns true or false. How do I illustrate it? X and y. If both operands are true, then the condition becomes true. So let me quickly teach you something new. You need to learn, you need to know this as a programmer. Now x and y, or xy, and we have x and y, and we have x or y. Okay, so if we have x to be true, true, and false, false. Let's say x is true and y is true. X and y will then be true. The reason is because when you have ands, both operands has to be true or affirmative. X or y will also be true. Now, if x is true and y is false, x and y will be false, and x or y will be true, because it's only true for all. When it's all, it means any of them that is true makes the whole expression to be true. So in this case, x and y, one of them is true, therefore the whole expression is true. So when x is true, y is true, x is true, y is false, x is false, y is true. In this case, we also have false. Here we have true. And in this case, x is false and y is false. So the answer is, the result is going to be false. And finally, in this case, we have false. So take some time to get your head around this, because this is something very, very, very important in programming. So try to create, I'm giving you an assignment now. Try to recreate this table. Replace the truths and false with 0 and 1. True is 1, false is 0. So create this table. This table sometimes is called truth table, right? So let me just write it. It's called truth table. Very, very important in programming and logic, and even if you want to move further in data analytics and data science especially. All right, so that's about. So again, try to assign it. For instance, let's just try it out before we proceed. So let me just take out it. So if we have y is equal to true, x is equal to true, and y is equal to true, is equal to false. So you need to capitalize the first one. What am I doing today? So what is going to be x and y? X and y in this case will be false, yeah? Right? So, and what is going to be x or y? X or y is going to be true. So basically, what I wrote down in the truth table is what applies. So try to pause the video, try to get your head around it, and then move on. Then we have also membership operator. In this case, we are not going to go into membership operator or Python identity operator. In case you want to learn it by yourself, that is fine. But for now, it's not very relevant if your objective is to move on to data analytics or to data science. What we are going to do at this point is to move on to the next part, and that will be decision making, right? So that is our conditional statement, that is decision making. Now this, what is this? Let's show up just like that. All right, so we are going to conditional statements. Now in programming generally, in robotics, in analytics generally, decision making is very important. The reason is because decision making helps you simulate what happens in real life. If a condition is encountered, what direction is the program going to go? Alright, so let's create a new file where we are going to be talking about decision. So I'm going to say new Python file and decisions or conditional statements, either of the two. So what we are going to do at this point is to create a grade sheet. That is, we have a situation whereby in a class the class has scores. For instance, if the score is 70 to 100 is A, if it's 60 to 69 is B, and so on and so forth. So how do you achieve that? You achieve that using conditional statement, if, else, if. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to do copy and paste, and then we continue from there. So in this case, we have A is equal to 20, B is equal to 40. If A is equal to B, print A is equal to B. So if I run this code at this point, you'll see that nothing is going to be printed out. If A is equal to B, so I'm actually going to right click and say run decisions. At this point, nothing is going to be printed out of the output, because the print statement that is indented is only going to execute if the conditional statement is true. And this conditional statement we are learning about now comes from the previous module, which is operators, because we have this two equal sign means a question, which is actually a comparison operator. We are comparing A to B. If they are equal, do something. Now they are not equal. Now let's learn about the else. In this case, else, we print something else. So in this case, we are specifying what is going to happen if the condition is not true. If A is equal to B, print A is equal to B. What if it's not equal? So what happens? In the previous one we ran just now, nothing happens. But in this case, if not, something happens. It's going to print out the second statement that is going to print it when this condition is not true or is false. So if I run this code at this point, it's going to print out the second line, which says A is not equal to B, as you can see right here. Then we have something called Elif, which is the same as else if in other programming language. So in this case, you can test more than one condition. If A is equal to B, print something. If A is less than B, else if A is less than B, else if else you do something else. So in this case, you can test more than 3 conditions. So I'm going to just take the last one. So I'm going to take this last one and paste it here, right? So, but in this case, this second statement is going to be an elif statement. And elif statement will require you to specify another if statement. So in this case, elif A is less than B, we print A is less than B. All right. Now, if A is not equal to B, it may be A is less than B or greater than B. Now, we check the second condition is A is less than B. Okay. Then we'll print A is less than B. What if A is not less than B? Maybe A is greater than B. Then we can actually put, say, if A is greater than B at this point. But that is the only condition left. Whether A is equal to B or A is less than B or A is greater than B. So even if you don't put if else if A is equal greater than B, the system is also going to respond by printing the last statement. All right, so this is how it works. I'm going to move on again to the next one. We have nested if statement. Now, in this case, we are trying to get an input from the user. Now we are going to do something we did from day 2. That's just day 2. Now, if we get an input from the user, we are saying A is equal to, let me not create any confusion here. So I'm going to say A is equal to int A. I explained this to you before because when input comes from the user, that input is coming like a string, so you can't use it for a calculation. For you to convert that input from a text to a number that can be used for calculation, you need to use the int function or method, and in this case you convert that input from a text to a number. So I've converted A to a number. Now it says if A is less than 100. Yeah, so if A is less than 100 means A is between 0 or maybe from 99 downwards. But what if you want to check also, if you are sure A is less than 100, you now want to check if A is greater than 50. For A to be greater than 50 and less than 100, there are two things you can do. You can use nested if statement. In this case, we are checking if A is greater than 50. But I think you can also do something like, permit me to try to do a second. Meanwhile, let's run this one just to make sure. So, and this type, I have a typo here. So in this case, let's enter an input that may be less than 100, and let's see. I'm going to right click and run. It's going to ask us to enter a number, and then I'm going to enter a number 70. So it says A is less than 100 but greater than 50. Give me a second. Let me just come here. So let me try to enter a different number. Let's say 20. Now nothing is going to happen because we only are going to execute that print statement when A is greater than 50. But meanwhile, from the external if statement, A is less than 100. So this is called the if statement inside is called the nested if statement. So take note of that and don't forget, because you need to know about the times you use. So what I was saying is that you can also achieve this by saying if A is less than 100 and A is greater than 50. I can't remember if you can do exactly that, but let me just try to do that. So let me just take out this. So if A is less than 100 and A is greater than 50. I don't know exactly. Oh, so you see how it's going to be. If 100 is less than A, it's less than 50. If 100 is greater than A, is greater than 50. So that's how to do it. It's called chain operations or something like that. So that's going to give us exactly the same outcome that we achieved with nested if statement. So we are doing the same thing in just one line. So I'm going to run it at this point. So I'm going to enter a number 80, and it's going to also respond A is less than 100 but greater than 50. All right, so let's now do the project we mentioned, a grade sheet. So let's see. Let me just undo. So we want to do a grade sheet. you want the user to enter a number which may be 50, 60 or something, whatever it is, it's going to be a float. It can also enter 80.9, 90.9. So when the user gets this input, I'm going to convert it to float. A is equal to float A. And when you say if, now I'm simply going to copy it and copy this and paste, so we don't waste any time. Alright, so again, else if this, so I'm going to put a colon here to complete it. Alright, so you see that there is some kind of error, not warning, I'll say. What are we having here? So it's going to be float, F-L-O-A-T, O-A. Alright, so we convert the input to a float, and the next thing we'll do is to check if A is between 100 and 70. So you can say A, or you can say 100 is greater than A is greater than 70. Okay. So if I put my cursor at this point, I can just say simplify it. If I run it this way is correct, that's fine. But Python is giving me an option to simplify it. So I'm gonna say, just give me a second. So simplify, and also simplify. Alright, so we've simplified everything. So if A is between 100 and 70, between 70 and 100, we print out A. If A is between 60 and 69, we'll print out B, and so on and so forth till down. So this is a simple grade sheet we've developed. I would like you to extend this grade sheet. Let's run it first just to make sure everything is okay. So if I enter something like 20.5, it's going to be, and it's not captured there. So let's see what happens. Nothing happens because we are only talking of A between 70 and 100, between 60 and 69. So the only way to handle this is say Elif print E, maybe. Alright, this is where it should be. So I think, no, not Elif, else, because we are not testing anything again. Else print E. So if I run it again at this point, we will have the result we want. So if I say 30, so we have E at this point. Okay. So this is how it goes. I would like to thank you for viewing. We've covered day 3. Don't worry yourself if you don't understand perfectly some things, because we are learning smart. We want to cover all the relevant things you need to know. And I'd like to tell you to brace up for day 5, where we are going to be doing simple math. Is actually going to be extended but easy, because I actually break it down into chunks. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you for being there in day 3. We are going to be moving on to day 4. You can try to do a few revision on day 4, because if you want to check what we are going to learn in the next day, you can just go back to Python tutorials, kindtondegenius.com/Python, and at that point you can go to, you can now see, also if you want, you can buy me a coffee, because I do this for free. So if you go to Python in 10 days, you will see what we are going to be learning in day 4. In day 4, we are going to be looking at loops. Loops is something really interesting. It's your first taste of data science, because we are going to be generating an array of numbers using a loop to count the numbers being generated. So I'm going to stop here. What have we learned today? We've learned about operators, different kind of operators. We've also learned about conditional statement, if statement, elif statement, nested if statement. Take some time to review it, run this code yourself, and remember to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share the video around, and if you have challenges, leave me a comment below and I'll be there to respond to you. So I remain Kindton the Genius, and we are going to see in day 4.